which is a discussion on creating a gender-equal organization that nuts and bolts. My name is Santina Benson, and I'm the Executive Director of the CEO Roundtable. I'm very pleased to welcome this afternoon our distinguished panel. I'll start with Madam Zuhura Muro. Mama Muro is currently the Managing Director and founding shareholder of Linda Group Limited. She has a private business development services provider and special focus on recruitment, employee supply, management, payroll, admin, and management consultancy. As an entrepreneur, board member, accredited director, and mentor, Mama Zuhura considers it her mission to develop the next generation of women leaders in Tanzania's private sector. Her people-centric philosophy of empowering employees and purposeful leadership have made her a trusted advisor to CEOs who want to develop their company's most valuable assets, their human resource. Mama Zuhura, I'll start with you, please. In your time with KCB Bank, on the KCB board, you were chairperson of the KCB. You really drove a significant initiative to drive female leadership within the bank. Can you tell us about that journey and what you've seen as the impact for KCBT since you embarked on that journey? Karibu Mama Zuhura.
Thank you very much, Santina, for a very generous introduction. I just want to add that I have expanded my focus and I'm working with public sector women leaders to try also to grow their capacity and confidence to excel. So it's a passion that I have taken on, and as you know, you are the pioneer in the Linda female talent pool, where we're trying to have quite a number of women becoming visible in the market to address the cry of many CEOs where we get powerful women, professional women, capable women. So we are trying to do that. Now back to the KCB journey. Very interesting journey, 8 years, very gratifying. And during those 8 years, 4 years, I was trusted to lead the bank as a chairperson. And the 4 years were very interesting. I had a mission in those 4 years. And one of it was to make sure that I bring to the fore quite a number of female executives, not only building their capacity, but also recognizing that they are there and they have the opportunity. The first thing that I think I did, and I must say it was quite a change, it was creating psychological safety in the boardroom. When I joined, I could see that we needed that. We needed to be like a team. We are building one vision as executive management and board. So that kind of psychological safety where everybody felt like I'm included, I can speak my mind, I can opine, I can challenge. That was very important. But then there was an extra effort when it came to the female executive. I was very sensitive in terms of how they are perceived and when they come to the boardroom to do their presentation, what kind of the board language is receiving them, what kind of an atmosphere, because I know that many women, they have the technical capability and they have a very strong confidence which is latent within them. Somebody has to encourage them to really exude that particular confidence. So during my tenure as 4 years, the number of female executives increased tremendously, and there was a quota where the financial statement published in the newspaper. For the first time they were signed, they had 3 signatures of ladies. The internal audit board chair, committee chair, then I had the internal auditor and myself signing the financial statements. And if you look at it and count, in that particular publication, there was only one single signature of a male. So for me, that was momentous. Now, how did it happen? It was not accident, because I had to plan it. When we were doing competitive selection, I would just remind the HR committee to do an extra effort to look out. And then I had this, I think somehow it was also creating some kind of uneasiness. I say, please, before any of the senior management team members are employed, I want to see the finalists. They must come to my office. I want to have a chat and have a cup of tea with them. And in most cases, when they come, and especially when you have very powerful professional ladies coming, you have a chat with them, you are able to reach them, not on the surface, because what we do in most cases, it's when we are looking at the executive and we are hiring them in our organizations. We don't take the context. So for me, what I do in the executive selection, I also bring in the context of this lady who is speaking to me, who is telling me about her career journey, who is talking about the kind of struggles, because I started being in the senior management at the age of 28. I have bruises, I have scars and so on. I know what I went through. So I try as much as possible to listen to them, to get close to what they are telling me. And then after creating that kind of numbers in the boardroom there, I went on building a culture of engagement. There the board is an engaging partner to the executive management. We are not there to catch someone for doing some mistake. We are there to add value and wisdom. Another thing that I brought into that board was never a vote during my tenure as a leader, because I used to believe I need to really have the stakeholders understand where we want to go. Outside the board meeting, we'll have some discussion. I come to the board having 60% kind of support, and then I need about 40% to go. But then facilitating the discourse in the board to arrive at what we call collective wisdom. So I can't remember having any vote in that board. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mama Zuhura, for those insights. I think you've also set up the stage for additional panelists to feed into that. I'd now like to come to Mr. Abdulmajid Nsekela. Mr. Abdulmajid has rejoined CRDB in October 2018 as the CEO and Managing Director, previously from NMB, where he worked for 10 years as the business head at retail. And Abdulmajid started his banking career at CRDB originally in 1997. Mr. Abdulmajid holds a master's degree in business administration, and he's also an alumnus of Institute of Finance and Management, where he graduated with an advanced diploma in banking. Mr. Nsekela, at CRDB, you have partnered with IFC to train 100 women in middle management in confidence and capacity building. We've heard Mama Zuhura talk about the psychological challenge. So this is something I think that's intrinsically connected. What was the motivation for you embarking on this initiative? And although it's recently concluded, are you able to see any impact out of this initiative?
Thank you very much, Santina. Thank you very much. As you rightly said, because I've been in the banking sector for 24 years. Basically, CRDB was my first employer. So I started my career at CRDB, spent my 11 years at CRDB, and I left. Over the period during my career, but I've grown to the level of being a CEO, and luckily enough, I went back to CRDB. Of course, one of the surprising moments was that there was my colleagues who I joined with in CRDB, and they were tellers. The time I was going back, they were still officers and tellers. And these are ladies. So initially, when you look at CRDB having about 3,600 employees, and when you look at the top management level, there is likely only one woman. I think equality becomes a challenge. And me as a CEO, I thought it's very important to look at. And even before engaging with IFC, I started the program within the bank, which is called She Initiatives. Just called the lead management, that is heads of departments, women's, and emerging managers. And I had a session a day. Because the reason that when I went to CRDB, I went with the full transformation journey, changing the operating model, changing the dynamics around the bank. And there was a lot of opportunities. And when we have opportunities, we tend to believe that internal candidates will always apply, but very few. None of them apply. And some of them who are appointed as acting for the positions, when the position was put on the market, they never applied because they were not able to. And I had a conversation with, why are you not applying? Because I trust you and I think you can. Of course, the confidence level was there. So, apart from these programs, we have been working with IFC in different areas. And recently, we actually have to commend IFC and thank them because they came to us with a program for capacity building and building of confidence. So I picked about 100 ladies, which I believe they are very strong, dynamic, very technically savvy, and these are the future leaders. So the purpose of that program was, first of all, to create awareness within the bank that you have a talent. Even the joint program makes you believe that you are among the talented ladies. But number two was to build the excellence capabilities among those selected ladies, to believe themselves and see the possibility of creating a pool of confident ladies. Because in different projects, you see different ladies with very talented, but they have not been given opportunity. So it's all about confidence. And the third one was to create a room for being coached. Because having a partner like IFC, we believe the exposure, the confidence, and technicalities will enable our staff to grow. So this program has been a success, and I will say so. Because of recently, they have graduated. But I'm happy to say, for example, within the pool of 100, as of now, 4 of them have been promoted to the managerial level. And then we have appointed another 2 ladies managing, I'll call it complex, but very unveiling projects for the bank. One is a cultural transformation journey for the entire bank, changing the cultural behavior for the whole bank, how we serve customers, how we operate, how we see the business. It is led by Nike. But CRDB is also operating in Burundi, and soon will be going to Congo. So the project of the regional expansions has been invested to the lady. She's now leading the programs for us to move to Congo, and she's doing well. So that's one of the success. But the other success factor is that within the branch management, I deliberately decided to have at least 50-50. So selected about 5 branch managers from the pool, given the branches. They have never been a branch manager. But the same program, of course, has assisted them to understand the leadership dynamics. And as for my general assessment, when you look on their branch management, there is quite a big improvement. So to me, it is a success. And I believe that CRDB gender equality, we have about almost 3,600. 57% are men, 43 are women. I would like to see most of ladies at the top. But leaders, you have to support them to reach there. So I want to thank IFC for the support. And I see this just the beginning, and I believe we'll be able to have more leaders. I always say to my team that you don't need to lead CRDB to be a leader. There is so many opportunities in CRDB, but there are so many opportunities up there. My role is to create more leaders. If I see someone who has been working with me, that is leading a certain institutions, for me it's a success. So we create army of whether CRDB or where my role is to promote those leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abdulmajid. I think we're starting to see some running themes here. We've heard from both you and Zuhura about the role of leadership and how critical it is, and deliberate intervention. Along those journeys, they're quite different. So CRDB is in the beginning stages of really starting this journey, and at KCBT we're seeing that they've seen some success. So that will lead me to Mr. Sanjay Rughani. Sanjay is the CEO of Standard Chartered Bank, and I'll also mention that he's my chairman of CEO Roundtable. Sanjay joined the bank in Tanzania in 1999 as a manager of business finance support, He served until 2001, where he took up the role of Regional Finance Manager in Africa on international assignment as well in the UK. Over the years, Sanjay has held senior roles, and until his appointment as CEO, Sanjay was Standard Chartered's head of FSC, interim for India, as well as head of finance operations and change management. Sanjay is credited with driving the financial transformation agenda and change management initiatives across Africa. Beyond Standard Chartered, Sanjay is a leader in Tanzania's business community, having many seats on the boards of various boards, including co-chairing Association of Tanzanian Employers and of course chairing the CEO Roundtable. Sanjay, karibu on your journey at Standard Chartered and specifically here for Tanzania. We've seen the female leadership journey show some significant success. We've seen in the IFC report, there's 22 women who are featured. 5 of them are Standard Chartered alumni. That's very impressive. Can you tell us about the interventions that have happened at Standard Chartered over the course of the years that have actually allowed women in leadership positions to excel?
Thank you, and I think it's an absolute pleasure to, work with and feature in this, very auspicious engagement. I do want to commend the IFC team because I think they are bringing to the forefront issues that are very pertinent. These are global issues, whether it is gender balance, diversity and inclusion. As a business leader and as a community leader, these are very important because the more we integrate, the more we see value. When we say more we see value, from a business perspective, research says that when you integrate gender as part of the equation, and I'm very privileged that I have colleagues here who all believe in it, you actually see profits of more than 26% growth in your business. Now for Standard Chartered Bank, personally having been part of the bank in Tanzania for over 22 years, what is very exciting is that I specifically remember 20 years ago, this became the forefront of our organizational agenda. And for us, it's 3 things really that drives, whether it's gender balance or just, really respecting human beings. People are the biggest asset that we have as an organization, and I think that's true for everybody else. But then if you create the diversity and inclusion aspect as part of the equation, you can only get exponential outcomes. So 20 years ago, we created a strategy. Remember, we are in Tanzania, 104 years old now. And I can proudly say that where we sit today, 53% of my staff are women, 47 are men. Globally for Standard Chartered Bank, this is a big agenda. 46% of our staff globally are women. We've made multiple commitments globally, to the UN Women Principles, including to the Her Majesty article in the UK, that generally overall our leadership team will have at least 30% women in leadership. For Tanzania it's just over 40%, so we are excited about it. But it's all really about 3 things. So it's about policies, it's about practices, and it's about purpose. When you say the IFC report, so the IFC report actually talks about family-friendly policies that we have embraced. What does that mean? So the working environment in general, the respect that a staff gets as soon as they are on board in the bank, because they become part of a global family, more than 80,000 people in the world. We have the same brand, we have the same standards, we have the same principles, which are world-class across board, which are very important. And suddenly somebody doesn't feel he's just part of Tanzania, but he or she is part of the world. What is very important also for us is the practices we have embraced. So we have a very articulate diversity and inclusion policy. We have a very quality but purposeful leadership model to look at how progression will happen, including with gender balance as an equation. But other simple, subtle things that are very important for humanity in general are also very critical to us. So work-life balance, flexible working environment. In current days of pandemic, working from home. Even today, 60% of my staff work from home. We are also very clear that women have specific needs. So what are those needs? Including having a women network in our organization, the kind of learning they do, the kind of leadership courses that they go through, are all very, very critical. We also believe that one of the most beautiful things that happens in any family is just becoming a parent. And for Standard Chartered Bank, this is a moment to not only respect our staff, but to celebrate them. So we've got one of the best leave policies. Actually, it's a 5-month maternity leave for women. And we also have a paternity leave of 2 weeks for men. It actually allows them to bond with the kid. Now I'm saying this is family friendly. We have activities that happen every year where we actually bring in the family, celebrate them. So 3 things, like I said, for us it's really a lot of policies, practices, but purpose. Let me spend a little bit time on purpose. I think many organizations tell people what to do and how to do it. We also spend time telling them why you should do it. And it's not about business. It is about making the world a better place to live in. So that's why we have better practices. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanjay, for those insights. That will lead us to Mr. Julius Magabe, who is our 4th panelist this afternoon. Julius is Regional Executive East Africa for Sanlam Pan Africa and is responsible for the businesses in Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda. Seasoned insurer with over 22 years experience in insurance and risk management, 18 of which have been at senior management level. Julius joined Sanlam in 2007 as head of corporate business in Tanzania and was appointed CEO and managing director of the business in 2010. Julius, if I may come to you in terms of culture, picking up from Sanjay's comments as well, the importance of culture. Can you tell us the specific strategies that have been adopted by Sanlam, and what are the tools that you use to both recruit and retain women, as well as promote them at Sanlam? What successes have you seen from some of these strategies? And perhaps maybe if you can give us insights in terms of within the regional space, what is Tanzania doing or could do more of that to enhance female leadership?
Thanks, Santina. Let me start with the culture subject. And from a culture point of view, it's a two-pronged aspect. I mean, there's societal culture and there's corporate culture. Now, for many years, as we know, our African culture has been male-dominated. But I think over the years, corporate culture has done very well, to dilute that. And I can say we've come a long way to the extent that our corporate culture, does embrace diversity, gender diversity, quite a bit. But a lot more can be done. So yes, culture has got influence. But from where I'm sitting and the businesses I look after, I would see societal culture taking a back seat, and it's corporate culture that drives the direction as far as gender diversity is concerned. From a Sanlam point of view, and maybe starting with Sanlam Tanzania, we obviously have a policy that guides us as far as gender diversity is concerned, but having policy is one thing. It's just a piece of paper. It's only as good as how deliberate you are, in driving diversity within the organization. For us, diversity is not only gender; it includes race, and all the other aspects around diversity. But singling out gender, we've been very, very deliberate as an organization in terms of sticking to what our diversity policy says relative to us encouraging women, in the workforce. Now, for us, in terms of a strategy that has allowed us to have a balanced workforce in terms of gender, has been pretty much the effort we put to attract talent in women within our organization. Just to give you some stats, within our organization, 75% of our workforce is women, but that's across at all levels in the organization. 40% are in EXCO. Middle-level managers, 50% is women. In terms of our succession pool, to the key roles in the organization, starting from EXCO to middle level, it's all 50% of the successors, on the list are women. So we are quite deliberate that way. Now, the question around the strategy we've applied and how that has, allowed us to be that successful from gender balance is really just the the effort we put to have women in leadership. These women have become voices, for fellow women. Our decisions around recruitment, having a 40%, women in EXCO means that our decisions around recruitment will definitely, have the voice of the women in our leadership, in terms of the resources we attract. Now, we don't have a very big, employee staff complement, around 300. Now, with that kind of complement, if you exclude, staff who are, at lower levels, staff who are at middle level manager going all the way up to EXCO, our approach, by and large is headhunting. We do a lot of headhunting, of course, in places where we need to advertise, we do advertise, but headhunting with an organization which has the composition we have allows us to attract a lot of women talent, and we've been quite deliberate in their development and retention. We have put all our women leaders. Of course, I'm not saying that the male leaders don't get the same opportunity, but we've been quite deliberate, on the women's side, where all of them have undergone, special, leadership and development programs relative to their, to their level of, of leadership in the organization, and that has allowed us, to continue improving their, their ability. But from a retention point of view, we are equally, quite deliberate on the retention, and the rewards that we offer them. But we also challenge them, just like their male colleagues. They are challenged in the same way that their male colleagues are challenged, and they equally are given opportunity to challenge their male, their male colleagues. And we have built a team of very, very, strong women leaders, but women employees as well in the organization. So in terms of success, I can cite that the bulk of the EXCO colleagues that I have now, I'm glad to have been part of their recruitment. They joined the company at lower levels. Today they sit with me, at an EXCO level, and that gives you a lot of, comfort. Being able to see them grow to the level of yourself sitting on the same seat at EXCO. That's one success. We've been able to grow women in our organization who've taken CEO roles. In another organization, I'm actually quite proud that the only local CEO, insurance local CEO who's a lady, is a product of Sanma. So I always talk about that quite proudly. But that is how deliberate we are. Actually, I would really love to share a 2-minute story around that lady. If you allow me. And this leads back to what Majid and Sanjay said about leadership. So many years ago, when this lady had an opportunity to join another organization, she had just returned from a 1-year executive development program in South Africa, where I had financed this as a CEO, and I think just a week after the lady landed, she also landed an opportunity. So she came to me and said, "Listen, I really don't know what to tell you. I don't know where to start because I know how much you've made an effort to develop me, and here I am with an opportunity. And I think it's a really good opportunity that I think I should pursue." And I gave her all my blessings, because the question I asked myself was, I can probably match what's being offered, with the other, with the other employer, but she still remains in the role she is now. There she has that's, I thought it was something that ought to support. And I think through that, she has equally supported a lot of other women, even up to equally grow. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Julius, for those insights and the statistics coming back to deliberate measures and leadership, really. I'd like to now maybe circle back to Mama Zuhura. I'm really touching on something that Abdulmajid had mentioned. And maybe I'd follow up with this question and ask each of the panelists to just make a comment, maybe 1 minute comment as time is coming up. But mentorship and coaching, we've heard it touched on very lightly. I think the previous panel spoke about it, and we also heard Ruth touching on it when she was doing her chat. How is this contributing to women's roles as they move in leadership positions? And is there enough of it happening in Tanzania? And maybe even to the panel directly, what more can CEOs do in terms of ensuring that women, along the journey, not just in leadership positions, but in middle management as well, have the right coaching and mentorship available to them to help them address some of the issues and challenges that we heard, whereby they don't think they're right for the role, they're not coming up, stepping up and require interventions. Who is there to support them along that journey? Do we have enough? What more can we do? Karim Mama Zuhura, I'll start with you. 1 minute, please, for each panelist.
Okay, thank you. You are my example. Yeah, I'm saying so because mentorship and coaching is very, very important. In our culture, in the corporate culture in Tanzania, it is not very popular. But if you go to other markets, it's so popular because mentorship and coaching is not only the value you get from the mentor, but also the network that mentor open for you, but also the connections, the promotion, they speak on your behalf in the corridors where you cannot live. And many professionals in this market have not realized that. In this market, I've been doing that quite a lot. And I started with the job that said, look here, you are my example, because men and women, you have seen and you can see they can move. You take them to a coffee bar, you say, you know what, Miss A, you're ready? And they say, really? Then I tell them, you are ready. Because the issue here, it is the excuses that men and women say, maybe I wait until my child, they grew up when I was doing my career. Then when you give them a powerful story about what you had to go through, how you balance, that is really where you are able to reach them. That is one aspect when they want to grow. But then when they are in, because the issue is, getting them in, it's one thing, retaining. Because some of the women, they say it is too much. I just want to throw in the towel. They also come to me when they're thinking about throwing in the towel. And my question to them, what will you there? What story are you going to tell your son? What story are you going to tell your daughter 5 years down the line? That you crouched under pressure and you had to quit? Tell me that story. So I take them forward about 3 years, 5 years to come and say, tell me that story. Will you be proud of that story? So there are two issues. One issue is to help them to overcome the doubts, to get in. But then after they get in, there must be a sustained, program to give them some kind of a shoulder where they can go back. They can be, Now the problem we are having, we don't have so much a wide network of women professionals and leaders compared to the male club where they meet, where they give each other confidence and whatever. We have not grown. And many research, they say, if we really want to bring women to the arena, we must get them there so that they can bring other women into those arenas. My story in KCB, I was able to bring in many other women because I was given that opportunity. But when you are given that opportunity, you must be intentional that I want to open the door. And when they have come in, even when I'm introducing a female executive, I'll be very flamboyant. I talk about their achievements. And they used to love it because I'll go on, coloring them, just to remind them, these are the things, these are the games that you have not seen. So it is very important to sustain that momentum of coaching and support.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mama Zuhura. So just following on from that, Julius, can you translate it into more mentorship and coaching for that female quotient that you have improved?
Yeah, what I can say is that, one, it's a true success story for us. And if I see the amount of women-to-women engagement in terms of the elders or the more senior empowering the juniors or the younger, there's quite a bit of that in our, in our organization, and it now flows naturally. That the more senior women in our organization and the more the elder ones do deliberately make an effort, to support the junior and up and coming managers or leaders.
Excellent. Abdulmajid, have you seen a change? You made some deliberate leadership interventions when you returned to CRDB. How has that impacted mentorship and coaching within your exco?
I think for me, when you speak about coaching and mentorship, it's not about creating a person who is experienced to coach or to guide. I think it's all about creating environment, which is purely gives everyone equal opportunity to excel. If I give you an example, I think when I went to the board meetings at that time, I was told that the only person who speaks is CEO. And that means the rest of the management team, even though they have a report, they won't be able to speak about it. And that scares away their confidence. That's what number one. And then I had the management meeting. I said, you need to prepare yourself for next board, because I'll let you speak, but obviously I'll be backing you. And that was a very testing moment for some of them. And when we had a conversation with the board member, I said, if you look on our management, either top, middle, and upcoming, we have so many ladies who are talented. I don't have opportunity for them to show their confidence, what they know. So I started challenging all my leadership team. Number one, because you're already director. In the X committee, you don't need to speak. If you have a topic of your subject based on the business, come up with one lady who is either a manager or head of department, and you will speak about performance for the department. And through the conversations, I always have tough questions, but more building confidence or exposing the person to the next level. We finished on the management level. I went back to the board, I said, we have some good, talented women. They are current of departments. When you speak about succession plan, when you start knowing them. So, in the board meeting, different committees, I said, I will pick some of the ladies to present a certain topic, which are for the purpose, which is then for the board to get it approved. And that's why when I was referring that, for example, the recent two key projects, one is about cultural transformations, I just appointed the head of department to present the board. And the entire board said, we don't need the consultants, you're going to be our. That was the first time to give her much confidence, even the other colleagues. So for me, when you speak about coaching, first of all, as the leaders, you need to create environment and try to be friendly in the conversations with your colleagues. But also go around, not only on the exco level, treat everyone equally, because when you have a time with your leadership or upcoming management, ask them to challenge you. Ask to challenge everyone. So within CRDB, the way I've created is that there is no boss. That's my first argument. Whoever is an employee, in case you're in the meetings and there is something being discussed, you feel that it can be improved, challenge. And that was one of the motivating starting in the evaluations.
Thank you very much, Abdulmajid. So finally, Sanjay, I'll come to you. I know mentorship and coaching, you're personally passionate about that.
Sure.
Can you tell us what your journey has been in terms of how that has impacted your leadership journey, and now why you are really driving the mentorship and coaching and how it can impact women in leadership positions?
So I can tell you that I wouldn't be sitting here if I was not coached and mentored And I will not go forward if I'm not being coached or mentored. So that's a must. You talked about coaching and mentorship. Is it necessary? I think it's a must. The role, and Mama Zuhura spoke elaborately, so I won't repeat. You know, it's very important that there are two aspects of coaching and mentorship. Well, three aspects. One is you need to have it. Two is when you go through coaching and mentorship, there are real constraints or obstacles that you unlock and unlock your potential. But what is also important in the case of gender, and particularly in Tanzania, is I think women also need to unlock their own personal, constraints. Some of it is sitting in the mind. And I think it's time to take on a very bold new journey. We've now got a president who says we can do it. So I think that's going to drive a massive force. Now, you also said, what's the role of the CEO? So I completely agree with my friend here, Abdulmajid. It's really about creating the right environment where mentoring and coaching is part of life. And remember, there is formal and informal. In Standard Chartered, the informal coaching, including through the alumni, is massive. People who are still in the organization or who have left or part of the group. There are two other aspects I would like to just touch. As a CEO, you need to champion the cause. So create an environment, champion the cause. The third thing is, as you go through the journey, it's very important to be bold and set KPIs. Because if you don't know where you're going, as CEOs get motivated by KPIs. So that's extremely critical for us to put. But finally, it's also, be willing to be challenged. I like what my colleagues have told us. The world is evolving so fast. Whether it's gender, generations, or just even disability. Let's make this very much more inclusive workplace. And I think the best people to do that are CEOs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of our discussion. I think we could spend another hour with this panel. So many great insights and so many key takeaways. But I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you all for being here. We've learned so much, and I think we'll continue to learn from you as well. And also to thank IFC for hosting us today. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Thank you.